My experiences, my pleasures and pains are the realest and most vivid and important thing to me, right? That's what I'm experiencing, and that can overwhelm me and prevent me from understanding what's really going on. So he's trying to say, resist that self-centeredness. Try to break out of the default setting, and he's implying that it's going to take some intentionality to do that, some real practice, some humility, and understand that I am not this little spark that everything's revolving around. I'm one of unlimited sparks that are all moving through this water of samsara, and we're all connected in a certain way. And if we become aware of that connection, if we meditate on it, if we look for it, if we try to feel that, we can break out of the default setting and actually begin to understand the nature of our existence in this world and what it is that we're meant to learn and how we're meant to evolve.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Split, Croatia. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York City, Kaustubha. It is July 8th, 2025. It's episode 1640. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Croatia, everybody. Made it to Croatia. We got a gang here. We got Lori Pag and the Chief. We got Amara Nanda. We got Road Rage and family. Amara's got his family. We got Mukunda Kishore and Claire and their family.
Well, you got everybody over there.
We got Bono Nandini's coming. Alex from Sweden is here. My kid, we got Kishore from Florida.
This is like bigger than our retreat.
And somehow Govinda Priya is locking it all down in the kitchen. It's amazing. And yeah, it's somehow a break for us. With all these people, it's still a break somehow. And how was you made it home from Tuscany? It was a really great retreat, a great trip. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I give you a little gold star today I said I'd do the show without you or with Road Rage, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I know I traveled all night. I'm going to wake up at 6. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. Gold star.
Thank you for the gold star. The jet lag is working in my favor now. I've been up for a while.
Yeah, going back is easier for sure.
Yeah.
We're about to announce probably next week next year's Italy retreat. This year's sold out in 3 days, and I really feel like we've dialed it in nicely now. We really
hold it, Raghunath. Listeners are going to be saying you said it sold out in 3 days, but we were announcing it long after 3 days. We expanded it, right? We ended up expanding it.
We ended up expanding it because it sold out in 3 days. So we ended up renting a whole nother hotel. It won't be as big next year.
It won't.
No, because we're only doing one big place.
Is that all settled? Anyway, we'll talk about it later.
Pretty good. But anyway, we're going to announce it next week of the dates, usually at the beginning of the summer when school's out. But anyway, looking forward to that. When I get back, me and Mara got like 2 days off or 3 days off before we dive right into the Lori Pag and Raghu Yoga and Kirtan 3rd annual retreat. I'm looking forward to that as well. And I think that's almost sold out. But if you're interested, go to raghunath.yoga, click on the Super Soul Farm, and contact Lori Pag, who's doing registration.
Great.
All right. Anything else you wanted to mention, Mayor?
Well, there's no show tomorrow, and we'll be back at 6 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday.
Okay. 6 a.m. The people that would always wanted the 6 a.m. thing, they got it.
Yeah. There's always different demographics. We want 6 a.m. Remember when we used to be at 5 a.m. and then we moved to 6 and they were like, we want 5 a.m. How dare you?
Sure. I don't think they were like that. But yeah, that was our thing. 5 a.m. for a long time, wasn't it?
5 a.m. It was pretty cool.
It was cool.
All right. So we have a nugget today to be read by Miss Mara.
All right. Today's nugget comes from David Foster Wallace from his book, This is Water, Some Thoughts Delivered on a Significant Occasion About Living a Compassionate Life.
Okay. Had any of you ever heard of David Foster Wallace? No?
He's an author. That's all I really know about him.
Yeah,
No.
he's an acclaimed American novelist, essayist, and thinker. And
Hmm.
he's best known for his sprawling novel, Infinite Jest.
What
he was-
makes it okay for anybody to write, I'm a thinker in your bio? I could write that.
I don't
I'm
think he
part-time
wrote it.
bottom. I'm a thinker.
I don't think he wrote it
Ra-
himself.
Raghunath- I
I'm
don't
sure
think
he
wrote
had
it
people
himself.
write it for him.
Someone might say it for you someday, Raghunath. Just keep thinking and it might happen.
Thinking.
But I gotta think though. That's the only problem.
That's the problem with it. You got to think of
You could be a manifester.
a manifester. Just manifest something, you know. But
I've read somebody, a contemporary person said, blah, 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 is a thought leader. Well, what the hell? I'm a thought leader,
You are.
right?
Which
Can I
Raghunath?
write that in
You
my
don't-
bio?
Raghunath-
Raghunath is a thought leader. I'm
Raghunath,
just sick of these bios.
it's not a Raghunath. It's not a competition. You can also be a thought leader.
All right. I'm a thought leader. I'm a thinker. And I'm a part-time botanist. Come
And you're
on.
an author also.
And I'm
You're an author.
and I'm an environmentalist.
Okay.
Okay.
How about
that?
how about cult leader? Would you like to be one of those?
Cult aficionado.
Okay.
That's for sure.
So anyway, he's deeply reflective about the human condition, especially how modern life keeps people distracted, self-absorbed, and alienated. And much of his work explores themes of meaning, awareness, and breaking out of the mind's traps. All right. So I never heard of him before, but I liked this. I did a little research. I was kind of getting into his vibe here. So see what you think, Raghunath. Okay. Hit it, Mara.
He writes, everything in my own immediate experience supports my deep belief that I am the absolute center of the universe, the realest, most vivid, and important person in existence. We rarely think about this sort of natural, basic self-centeredness because it's so socially repulsive. But it's pretty much the same for all of us. It is our default setting, hardwired into our boards at birth.
That's interesting, right, Raghunath? Already?
This is like right out of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is very, very interesting.
Yeah, just
Think about-
it's interesting how he kind of put it. It's like, in one sense, it sounds socially repulsive to say this, but essentially, we're all moving around as if we think as if we are the center of the universe.
At the very least, and to extend that, like our country is the center of the universe. My hometown is the center of the
Whatever
universe.
centered around me
My
is
family, my family is the center of the universe, and that's all I really care about that much. Even publicly, I can say, "Oh, I'm sad about what's going on in this country or this country," but can you be sad about what's going on through the whole world? Because there's pain going on everywhere. Basically, we're really sad about what's happening right in front of with my own body. That's what makes us happy or sad generally. This is the
Right.
real interest of the selfish person. And we can't help it. We're embodied. We see through everything through this lens. Right.
There's there's and we'll go into this as we move on today, but this idea, the vision, he's saying we're kind of stuck in a default setting, seeing ourselves as the center. He said it like this, and I thought it was really clear how he said it. He said, the realest, most vivid, and important person in existence, right? Like, I know my own experience is real. As far as your experience, that's something that I'm removed from. That's something that, is very far from me. That's just the nature of our typical default setting of moving around the world. Now the Vaishnava philosophy is going to say there's a oneness and there's a difference, and we need to experience both. We need to be aware of both. But please continue, Mara. I find he's an interesting thinker. I'm seeing on the board that he apparently was a tortured soul.
He committed suicide in 2008.
Really?
But he'd been suffered depression for most of his life.
It's what happens when you think too much and you don't have a spiritual.
You're lucky that
Answers.
you have spiritual answers. since
Or
you're-
maybe his suffering was generating his introspection in some way, but he couldn't overcome the suffering,
Yeah.
Maybe you don't
Or
want to
he's-
be a thinker, Raghunath.
Yeah, okay. Cross that off my list. Raghunath generally doesn't think,
He's very happy.
And he
Very
preserves
happy.
himself this way.
Yeah. Self-preservation.
like a simple chimpanzee. with a banana in his hand.
But he's very happy.
Very, very happy.
Okay.
All right. So he continues.
Yeah.
Think about it. There's no
Right.
experience you have had that you are not the absolute center of. The world, as you experience it, is there in front of you or behind you, to the left or right of you, on your TV or on your monitor, and so on. Other people's thoughts and feelings have to be communicated to you somehow, but your
Right.
own are so immediate, urgent, and real.
Okay, so we are all these little feelers in a sense, right? We all feel. We're conscious beings. It's Sat Chit and Ananda. We're Chit. We're conscious. We feel stuff, but I don't feel what you feel. And so, it's natural that I fall into this again default setting where my feelings are real, my experiences are real and significant, and yours, that's something else,
But if you really learn how to think, how to pay attention, then you will have other options. It will actually be within your power to experience a crowded, hot, slow, consumer hell type situation as not only meaningful, but sacred, on fire with the same force that made the stars, love, fellowship, the mystical oneness of all things deep down.
Whoa. All right, Raghu. Thoughts?
Okay, I like this. When I hear this, I think, yeah, that's me. I'm caught up in my little world, my little problems, my little victories, thinking the entire universe just revolves around me. I've written songs like this, right?
Have you?
That's the default setting, like he says. Like we're hardwired to see everything as if it's about me, about my life, about my reality. But all the wisdom traditions, especially in our Bhakti yoga tradition, they tell us this same thing. You got to zoom out. I find myself saying this mantra on a regular basis just to survive. You've got to step back and realize you're not the center, and that everyone around you is also carrying their own struggles, their own hopes, their own dreams, their own pain, their own issues. And when we break out of that default setting, even for a moment, it changes everything. Like suddenly the world isn't out to get me. It's here to train me. It's here to teach me. It's here to assist my growth. Suddenly it's not about how everything affects me, but how can I serve? How can I connect? So when you start seeing the world that way, through benevolence, through growth, right? Even then the annoying stuff, even the suffering, even the heartbreak, even the incredible loss we might be going through, or the reversal. After all my hard work, the reversal that happens, you can see that it's actually alive with meaning, alive with connection, right? That's the freedom. That's the yoga. That's what we're aiming for through this entire process.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Even the minutia, right? Like even the boring stuff, the tedious stuff can become meaningful.
Which he points out too.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did he say? Being in the supermarket.
Yeah, that's right. And so this what we read from Mara said that it was from his book called "This Is Water: Some Thoughts Delivered on a Significant Occasion about Living a Compassionate Life." So the significant occasion was it was like a commencement speech at some university, and then I think after he passed away, it was taken and made into a book. But the title, "Is This Water?" This is where it comes from, because he begins it by telling the story of a quick little story about two young fish that are swimming along when an older fish passes by and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the two young fish swim on for a bit before one turns to the other and asks, "What the hell is water?" And so in this way, he's kind of setting up his essential point that it's the most obvious and pervasive realities are often the hardest to see. We don't realize what it is that we're swimming in all the time. We're not thoughtful enough about it. Fish are constantly in water, but the fish may not be thinking like, what is this element that I'm in? What is its nature? How is it affecting me? Am I meant to be in this? Is there a way out of this? The fish isn't thinking like that. The fish is just swimming in its default setting as everything's normal. but there's and we're going to read today that there's this idea like be more thoughtful about the environment that you're moving through and try to understand its nature, try to understand how it affects you, try to understand, try to go beyond your default setting and see what it is that you're meant to learn from it or how you're meant to grow through it. You know, I found it interesting when I read this, right, that it says that, okay, there's two fish, they're swimming, and this other fish swims by and says, and says, how's the water? Because that's kind of what we do a lot in life is we say, how are you doing? And then we just, right? But it reminded me of this passage in the Mahābhārata. And there's a passage there, you know, I believe Prabhupada referred to this somewhere. You can tell me if this rings any bells with you, Raghunath. You've probably heard it before. But it's it describes, I believe, a time when the great King Yudhiṣṭhira, who's Arjuna's elder brother, the leader of the Pandavas, when he was greeting his uncle Vidura, who was a great sage and had been away for a long time. And when he greets him, he says to him, how are you doing? He doesn't just end it there, right? It's like, how are you doing in your, I don't know if he says like struggle, right? But in your efforts to become free from the cycle of birth and death.
That's like a nice way to say, how's it going?
But
with much more weight and depth when you say, how are you doing with your struggles in birth and death? Meaning, this is the actual thing that's going on right now.
all
We're
around
like
us.
grains in a grinding stone, all of us. How are you doing to escape that big grind that's about to happen? As you are, my older uncle.
Yeah, yeah. It's like saying, you know, you say to the fish, how's the water? You say to someone, how are you doing in the struggle of the cycle of samsara? Because that's what we're immersed in, right? We are in the ocean of samsara. We are swimming around in a world that is all about everything's being born, everything's struggling to find comfort and pleasure, succeeding a bit and failing a bit, ultimately getting older, grinding down, and dying. That is the ocean that we're in at every moment. Look around. That's the water that you're swimming in. If you say, what is samsara? It's like the fish saying, what is water? Samsara is what's happening everywhere. Just look up close at anything and you're going to see it's going through it. You're going through it. What are you doing about it? Are you stuck in a default, in a default mode? Yeah.
I think when you're in Italy and you're seeing these, and we're staying at a place, it's like, whatever, 600 years old. It's like older than Lord Chaitanya in one sense, appearance. It's like, how many families lived here? What did it look like 300 years ago, 200 years ago? How many people's hopes and dreams and passions? It's like walking through cemeteries. You get so many realizations that you are not the center. Your default gets slapped in the head. You're just going through this tiny time and space. All your troubles are actually tiny. Even if your whole life was trouble, it's still tiny in the big picture of things.
Right.
And we need that.
And exactly what you just said, Raghunath. And then, in other words, because he began there, right, saying, kind of talking about our default setting and saying that my experiences, my pleasures and pains are the realest and most vivid and important thing to me, right? That's what I'm experiencing. And that can overwhelm me and prevent me from understanding what's really going on. So he's trying to say, resist that, that self-centeredness. Try to break out of the default setting. And he's implying that it's going to take some intentionality to do that, some real practice, some humility, and understand that I am not this little spark that everything's revolving around. I'm one of unlimited sparks that are all moving through this water of samsara, and we're all connected in a certain way. And if we become aware of that connection, if we meditate on it, if we look for it, if we try to feel that, we can break out of the default setting and actually begin to understand the nature of our existence in this world and what it is that we're meant to learn and how we're meant to evolve.
Boom.
Yeah.
Nice one. You encapsulated that really well.
Thank you, Raghunath. So
And
yes.
yeah, nothing.
I was just going to say.
I was about to say the Bhagavatam. What are you
Well,
going to say?
that's where I'm going to. I was going to say.
I was going to first. I said that
well,
first.
Me too. Okay.
Yeah, no, you said it after I said it. That's okay,
Okay.
though. It's okay to be number two.
All right.
You're the
See,
first.
Raghunath, break out of that
the-
default setting. Okay, we're not in competition here.
It's not a
We
competition.
both just need to get there. But what I wanted to share was we're at this really. I missed some exciting verses when where was I? I was in Assisi. Was that what it was? And you did a
You
show
were in
without me?
Assisi attempting to doing spiritual things in
That's
Assisi.
right. And you
in
were
another
doing a
spiritual
spiritual
tradition. And I was trying to
podcast.
stay loyal to the tradition
Okay.
and do the Srimad Bhagavatam.
And
But
you
know, it's
did.
all one. It's all one. You did good too.
Thank you. And so you must have read where Kamsa, being afraid of the birth of Devaki's new child because it was predicted that the child is going to kill him. So he picked up little Subhadra, little it was a form of Durga.
Little
actually.
Subhadra
Yeah.
turned into Big Durga.
He tried to throw her against the ground, right? What a thing to do. Little baby.
Instead of slipping out of the hands,
Sick in
it
the head.
slipped up. It
Yeah.
slipped up. Yeah, this guy's like my mom would say. This Kamsa sick in the head. That's what my mom would say.
That's sick in the head. If you take a baby and you try to slam it against the ground.
He's a big jooch. He's a big jooch. He's sick
That's
in the
worse
head.
than a chooch. Sick in the head is more like. And then the baby flew up in the air and told him,
And manifested this, ferocious form of Durga
Durga,
with a
yeah.
garland of skulls and various weapons in her 8 arms. And she said, "You fool, Kamsa! Don't you understand? The child who is born to kill you has already been born."
Fool.
Fool.
Yeah.
And that's when he really broke down. He had like a paradigm shift. I'm so
What am I
evil. How can I
doing?
do this? I'm so sorry. Get out of jail. You're free now. Oh, please forgive me. I was too ambitious. I've got bad association. I'll fix myself. I'll find a good therapist.
And then he began to
And-
preach a little, right? He began to
Yeah, he started
share
to
some real
preach
knowledge.
the Bhagavad Gita, basically.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna die anyway. I'm so sorry. I killed all your other children. I really made a big mistake there. But what? It's death. It's the body's temporary anyway. It was
A
very
bit of a
interesting
breakthrough.
how he, yeah.
Okay,
Not the
so
way I would ask for forgiveness, but
how would you ask?
I'd say, please forgive me. I killed all your children.
Okay.
I'm quite evil, and I have no good excuse for what I've done.
Yeah,
I wouldn't try to justify it by using the Bhagavad Gita. They don't really die. Everything dies. No.
So
Anyway.
now, today, we begin to hear now Vasudev, the husband, the father, and the brother-in-law of Kamsa is going to turn to him, and without any, he's not going to be like, "You are sick in the head." He's going to say, he's going to see good, and he's going to point it out, right? That's one of your 6 pillars, right?
Yeah.
What is it again?
26.
See good in
Great.
others. See good in
See the
others,
good- And let them know it.
and let them know. That's what he's going to do. But first, we need to chant our mantras, right?
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraya. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest,
Yeah.
one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. In loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Himrandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurumadatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 4, Text 26.
Okay, Vasudev speaking.
O great personality, Kamsa,
Great personality. You just tried to kill my baby.
Just trying to kill this baby. You killed all my other babies, but I'm going to let that go and see the good in you.
That's right.
Or using very, language to get what he needs.
He's encouraging the good that's there. He's fanning the little spark of goodness that's there, I think,
Well, great personality comes only by the influence of ignorance. Does one accept the material body and the bodily ego? Right? We have a body and a bodily ego.
Identification with that body.
What you have said about this philosophy is correct. Persons in the bodily concept of life, lacking self-realization, differentiate in terms of this is mine and this belongs to another.
Okay.
Right? I gave that class at the temple, the Sunday feast class. It was all about that. We identify with not just our body or our beauty. We identify with our wealth, or we identify with our career, or we identify with the vehicle we're driving.
Right.
I gave that example of my client letting me use his loaded Range Rover, and I was like, I took on the BOV of that car, and I started shouting, "Hey, get on a road with your piece of crap!" And I just took on, my ego was invested, like I was that car. I was that $175,000 car. I was looking down upon people, and we do that, and that's the ego's extension of not just I am a body, but I am the stuff. And the problem with that is it's all on loan to us. And we act very silly because we got to lose everything. And therefore, and because we know deep down that the house is temporary, the home is temporary, my body is temporary, my kids are temporary, my hair is temporary, my beauty is temporary. It's always riddled with anxiety. That doesn't go away.
Doesn't go away.
That's material consciousness.
So he's saying there's an influence of ignorance, right? These texts are going to speak about this in detail, right? That we want a separate existence where we are that center, where we can live with, what was his name? David Foster Wallace or something? What was it again? I got it right. David Foster Wallace. He was saying that we're kind of stuck in this default thinking, this we could say ignorant way of thinking, right? Where we feel we are the center of the universe. Now, texts like Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are going to say that's not just by chance. That's actually the design and the programming within the universe. There's an influence of Maya, right? It's one of the energies of God. It's one that we said, I want to exist under the influence of this energy so I can experience the world as if I'm the center, and I can try to enjoy it in that way. And once you're there, then you're provided a body, just like in a virtual reality, and you're provided the ignorance needed to identify with that body and think that that is you. Right now when you're thinking that body is me, then we can really dive into the illusion and play the game and try to enjoy it. And so, but there's so many problems with it, right? And he's saying that persons that are in that concept of life, they don't know who they are. They lack self-realization. And then he points to a key, right? This is like a key in terms of how they think. They differentiate in terms of this is mine and this belongs to another. Now that might seem like, yeah, well, of course, certain things belong to me and certain things belong to other people.
Take your eyeglasses from you. Yeah. Like, wait a second, those are mine. Are they Kaustubha? Just take them right off your face.
But in a sense, they're not mine, right? In a sense, this is a material facility that comes and goes and has no lasting connection to me. So in a deeper sense, it's not mine. But I may spend my entire life really stuck in a mode, not thinking on that level, thinking just on one level and not on that broader, zoomed out, ultimately more real level. Now, why don't we hear what Prabhupada has to say in the commentary? Bhaktivedanta purport.
Commentary 26 here. Hold on a second. All right. Everything is done automatically by the laws of nature, which work under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
There's no question of moving around in, right? It's like these laws of nature. Okay.
There's no question of doing anything independently. for one who has put himself in this material atmosphere. He is fully under the control of nature's laws.
Let's just talk about that for a second.
Whew, that's a heavy statement.
It is a heavy statement. It's kind of like if you're in a virtual reality, you could say that there's no question of you doing anything independently in that virtual reality. Anything that you do, even if it feels totally real, and you're saying, I'm choosing to do this in the virtual reality and I'm choosing to do that in the virtual reality, you are doing it dependent on the programmer of the virtual reality. You cannot do anything there independently of that programmer. In a similar way, we're moving through this world, apparently making our own choices, but what plays out, the results of those choices, is entirely dependent on a programmer who's moving the world in such a way according to our choices. Sometimes according, sometimes not, but in relation to our choices. Let's put it that way.
We're conditioned by the laws of the game. If I'm playing Space Invaders, I can't say, and now I want to get in a race car. That's not part of that program. So in the next verse, it says, our main business, therefore, should be to get out of conditioned life, right? We're conditioned to be playing Space Invaders right now. That's what the condition is. There's so much more opportunity outside of this mind-body concept. And again, our goal is to become situated in spiritual existence. Only due to ignorance does a person think, I am a demigod, I am a human being, I am a dog, I am a cat. Or when the ignorance is still further advanced, I am God.
It's very interesting. Right? We'll get to
interesting,
that, yeah.
Because you think, oh, that's spiritual to say, I am God, we are all
right.
God, right? Unless one is fully self-realized, one's life of ignorance will continue.
Okay, so
this is our map to get out of it.
If you're in a virtual reality with a particular virtual body and a particular virtual identity, unless you really get, because you might forget who I am and what is the reality. You might think the virtual reality is the truth, and that this virtual body is you. You step up and you look in a virtual mirror in the virtual reality and you see an image of your virtual self and you think that's me, and you've totally forgotten about the real body that you have in the quote unquote real world. Unless you come to the point where you're like, no, the image that I'm looking at in the mirror is not me. It's an image of my virtual body. It's not who I am. Unless we learn to think that way in this world, then our life of ignorance will continue. We won't really know what's going on. We're going to have to zoom out. We're going to have to develop an understanding of what is the water that we're swimming in, what is the virtual reality that we're moving in. This is what it's. These texts are, true or not, worth engaging with, right? Interesting way of looking at the world. Let's see where it leads. Let's see where it goes. But it's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. Now, the next verse is also very interesting. This is the second thing that Vasudeva will say to Kamsa.
Here's text 27. Persons with the vision of differentiation are imbued with the material qualities of lamentation and jubilation. I got it. I lost it. Right. Mm-hmm. Fear. They also get fear. Right. Yep. I'm going to lose it. Envy. I want it.
Or
Greed,
hostility.
I want more of it.
Yeah.
Illusion, this will actually satisfy me, and madness.
Whew.
Once you opt in to this is mine and this is theirs, that's all the other things that go with it. They are influenced by the immediate cause, which they are busy counteracting. I lost this, so I got to get it back. How can I get it back? Because they have no knowledge of the remote supreme cause, right? The cause behind everything, the supreme personality of Godhead.
This is powerful stuff, right? They're influenced. So it's, again, he's saying, he's trying to say, here's one essential thing to look at in life. This vision of differentiation, right? Which is something like what David Foster Wallace was getting at, like there's me and my experiences, and these are real and vivid and, and very tangible. And then everybody else that's experiencing stuff, that's really something else. It's far less important. I don't see a oneness, right? And our philosophy has to do with both oneness and difference. But here, Vasudeva is saying, when one is lacking seeing the oneness, when they're making different, this kind of, this is what Kamsa was doing, right? There's my life needs to be preserved. This is a threat to me. I must wipe it out, So he's saying once you lack that vision of oneness, we're all the energy of God, we're all sparks of the same energy, we're all moving through different bodies, but underneath them all, we're all the same. When you lack that, and you have this vision of differentiation, he calls it, duality, we could say, right? Duality. Then naturally, you're lamenting one moment and you're jubilant the next and going back and forth, and you get fear, hostility, greed, illusion, madness. These will all begin to dominate the field of your experience. And then what happens is you get caught up in the immediate cause, and you don't have the ability to zoom out and saying, what is the cause behind the cause? Why am I in this situation? You're just constantly dealing. He's like, I got to kill this baby now. I got to do this now. He's not stepping back and trying to understand, how did I get here and what am I meant to learn?
The interesting thing is, too, when you hear these described, like lamentation, jubilation, fear, envy, greed, illusion, madness, it's sort of like, yeah, jubilation. I like jubilation. I want jubilation. You can have jubilation. You'll get that. You get that, but it's fleeting. The jubilation in the material realm is fleeting. We're on this like little vacation right now.
Okay.
So it's sort of like a vacation. We got all our kids here. And we say, here's the deal. We got to do. I could also say it with our trip in Italy too, because we had this bus driver who wouldn't let us chant on the bus. He was like explaining how, you get in a car accident, the harmonium could kill somebody. The mridanga could kill somebody.
Right. Okay.
But we go on these 2-hour bus trips, and that was a big part of our trip is we got to sing in the bus. Right. And it made time fly by, but we were also hearing all the other people express their bhakti, express their heart through singing. It inspired people. It was a beautiful soundtrack to our beautiful adventure through northern Italy.
Right.
But when he said no, I said, okay.
No chanting
right,
Hare Krishna in the bus. They kill someone.
Very, very much. Please no chant the holy name.
No prasadam either. None of that.
No prasad. No distributing the prasad.
Someone choke on it, die.
Yeah,
Make a big mess.
Yeah. No worshipping the deity. No. It's very, very wrong. So anyway, because we didn't do that, we show up at the city, people get their gelato, people see the beautiful sights, people walk around, people eat a little pasta, get back on the bus, go home. And after a couple of days, I was like, okay. So, fortunately, we had our morning program, our morning sadhana. Mm-hmm. But if we missed that, there was no sort of sadhana. We're not going to police your sadhana.
All right.
So by day 3, I was like, you know what? We have to infuse this more with Harikatha, with speaking of the Lord Ram, Lord Krishna. Otherwise, we're just taking people on vacations, and I'm not really interested in that, And now we're here off of that trip, and we're here with all our kids. So we just told our kids, look, you got to come early. First of all the adults, we're all getting together, and we're reading together first for an hour, and the Bhagavatam, discussing it.
Okay.
And then the kids show up before the first meal, and we do kirtan and read Ram Leela.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's a nice family vacation. It's a pleasant family vacation, but without the infusing of the real medicine. It's just jubilation. And from jubilation comes lamentation, fear, greed, envy, illusion, etc. So even if you want jubilation in this lifetime, in material qualities, here we are in beautiful Croatia. The water is crystal clear. It's magnificent. It's still in the material world. And we want to get our consciousness higher than this heavenly planet of split Croatia.
Don't you forget that while you're over there, Raghunath. Okay?
I haven't forgot it. I won't forget that.
Okay.
I don't want you to forget it while you're suffering with the heat, thinking, I wish I was them. It's 800 degrees in my little apartment. I wish I was with them in Split right now. It's got nothing to do with the beauty we're experiencing, the fresh fruit and the swimming in the sea. You take that penance of being in that apartment and say, you know what? It's not the heat. It's the God within inside me, and I'm with you, man. While I'm eating fresh fruit,
there's no
doing
difference.
The backstroke on the ocean. I'm thinking about you and your pain. And I'm thinking, you know what? He's transcendental. He gets it.
Just as long just as long as you're experiencing some kind of pain, I'll feel better. Okay. Some kind of pain.
When I step on that sea urchin poking my foot,
A
and you'll be
jellyfish,
sitting- a
perhaps.
jelly-
But
Oh.
you know, I don't want to criticize someone publicly, but I saw something, a little clip, you know, a little YouTube clip or whatever, Instagram or something.
As long as it's not me, you're about to criticize publicly.
No, it's not you. When I read this, you know, the persons with the vision of differentiation are imbued with the material qualities of lamentation, jubilation, fear, envy, greed, illusion, madness. Now, to most people, it might not appear that way, but to me, it was like, I was saying, oh my God, that's unfortunate. You know, and what it was there's this band that just got back together, right? You're probably aware. Like
Aware.
huge,
Aware.
huge band, right? Particularly in England, like massive band, right?
Everywhere.
And they've been broken up for like 15 years or something like that because they hate each other. Right?
Right. It's been 30 years actually, but I think.
No,
but
it hasn't
maybe
been
you're
30 years. No, it's more like 15 or 12 or
Really?
something
Okay.
like that. And so I don't know exactly how many, but not 30. And so they did their first concert in so many years just the other day. And people are just going nuts, you know? And you can imagine you've had a little fame stepping on the stage, Raghunath, but like, you know, these guys
I've
are
had a
filling
little.
stadiums and like
Yeah,
people
these
are just
guys,
like,
it's next level.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's next level stuff. And they finally got back together, and then like one of the members of the band, like I just saw this clip, and he's saying like, I know that a lot of you never got the chance to see us play before, and you've always wondered what it's like to sing this song live, full with all other fans of me, like with thousands other of my fans. Well, now you're going to get to experience it. And then he sings this song, you know, which is like, you know what? He's got some talent. You know, he had a little bit of talent in life. God gave it for a short period. It kind of took it away. You know, he hasn't written a hit like that in a long time, you know, because
Yeah.
God just takes that Shakti back, you know.
Yeah.
But he's living it, you know, and he's up there and he sings the song and everybody's singing along. And then he says, well, now you know what it's like. You know, it's like, dude, you know, it's like you're thinking you are so incredibly, and I get it. The energy's powerful.
It's like it's like the nugget we just read.
Yeah.
We think it's almost like it's abominable to even hear your self-indulgence. It feels horrible. How did they say that in the nugget? Okay, go on. I'll
Well,
try to
yeah,
find
yeah.
that.
Well, yeah. He's stuck in his own little world of like of experience, right? And he's like, the masses adore me,
Yeah.
and you know, but you know, Krishna lives in that reality and knows and has the ability to reciprocate with it in the most beautiful way. You know, you get
It's
stuck in it.
socially repulsive.
It's socially repulsive.
Socially repulsive to hear you brag so much.
It was a bit, I experienced a bit of social repulsion when I was watching, but I was trying to see with compassion. It's like everybody kind of wants what he's kind of got, but he's in it and he's not satisfied either. There's some artists that will be in that kind of circumstance and feel a sense of humility, right? Like,
Billy Joel,
I don't know about Billy Joel, maybe. I don't know. But
Beyonce.
I don't know about
God
Beyonce.
for all I have.
Okay. But you know, some of them will be like, I don't know why all these people are cheering for me. I'm doing this little thing, you know, and that's someone that's maybe been very thoughtful as they're going through it, maybe suffered through it, maybe had some depth, or maybe they're a bit more evolved.
If
You
you've
know?
got that much fame, you've suffered. That fame also causes so much
It
pain.
causes suffering. Yeah.
You
yeah.
can't have a private life anymore. You get weirdos
That's right.
that follow you around and stalk you.
And so that fame may turn you towards a deeper level of understanding, searching it out, or it may
Or
level you into deeper
isolation.
illusion. Yeah.
Yeah, deeper
Right.
illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I've
so
seen people lose their minds with fame that got taken away.
Sure. And that's so when it said illusion and madness here, I was thinking, and you know, like sometimes these rock stars, they actually become mad. They really lose it, you know, because they cannot handle that fame. They'll do the most bizarre things. And people will still celebrate. Hey, he drove the car into the swimming pool. dude,
Right.
that's not cool. All right. That's just idiocy. That's madness, you know?
Do you remember that band, Sugar Ray? They did that song.
Yes, I do.
I just wanna
Wanna
fly.
fly.
We were friends. We were friends with those guys, and
Yeah.
I always liked that singer because he had this. He
Bit of
had this
humility.
realization, like, you know what? I'm famous. How long is this gonna last for? He
Right.
had like some transcendental realization. He goes, you know, I got famous, got a hit song, big deal. He got, and I think he wrote the name of their album was 15 Minutes of Fame or something like that.
Okay.
25 minutes. But it's like for sometimes people can play without zoom out and see, you know what? How long is it really going to last for? Even if it lasts your lifetime.
Right.
Like in 100 years, is anybody going to remember me? In 200 years?
You know, I always remember too seeing this interview with Bob Dylan where someone asked him about like his earlier music. You know, I think they were asking him about this song, The Times They Are Changing. And he was just admitting, I could never write a song like that again. And the interview was like, well, why not? You know, you did it before. Why can't you do it again? He's like saying, I honestly, you know, I can try, but like that wasn't exactly me. Somehow it came through me. And we see there's almost no artists that even if they reach this high level of art, that they can maintain it, you know, throughout their entire career. A lot of times they're living off of what they've put together decades before, you know. And so that should give someone a sense of humility too. You know, it's like,
Sure.
this wasn't me. It was something given to me and then taken away from me. And ultimately, I can still go up on the stage and sing these songs, but that's being taken away from me too. You know, it's just a matter of time. So,
Yeah.
but why don't we read what Prabhupada wrote here too? It's really interesting things he writes in this commentary. And this was so important. Let's go back to this point where he said, when you're in this illusion, when you're differentiating between me and everyone else and not seeing the oneness, the spiritual oneness that connects us all and the spiritual similarity of all of us, when you're stuck in that, you become influenced by the immediate cause, which you become busy counteracting. That becomes your life, counteracting the reactions that are coming at me because they have no knowledge of the remote supreme cause, the supreme personality of God. I can't zoom out and see what's really going on. So I'm stuck in this very, in this minuscule little bubble of my own, not being able to see a few steps down the road why the things that are coming at me the way they are.
Kaustubha's caught in a bubble. Write that down.
Right. I am.
Krishna is such a beautiful phrase. Krishna is the cause of all causes.
Sarva Karna
That's
Karna.
so much information packed into that little statement.
It really
Cause
is.
of all causes.
Yeah.
That's a great name for a band, too. Ever cause of all causes from Schenectady. Okay.
Pretty good, pretty good.
But one who has no connection with Krishna is disturbed by immediate causes and cannot restrain his vision of separation or differences.
That's
right?
Right there, right? Just the way he phrased that, right? But one who has no connection with Krishna, I don't know that there's a programmer to the world that I'm moving around in,
Right.
is disturbed by the immediate causes. Why is it hot? Why is it cold? Why did something?
We hear that all the
happen to me?
time.
Why did that happen?
Why
to
me?
Why me?
Unfair.
I got to change this. I got to change this external. I'm looking right at the immediate cause, and then he says that they are disturbed by immediate causes and cannot restrain their vision of separation or differences. I can't zoom out. I can't expand. I can't see the similarities that are there underneath the differences. I'm caught on this surface level, superficial vision that keeps me stuck.
When an expert physician treats a patient, he tries to find the original cause of the disease and is not diverted by the symptoms of that original cause. Just like
If
when
they're
Mary
good
had
doctor.
like when that Mary had that seizure, and everyone said, "Well, what was the cause of it?
What's the
We don't
cause?
want a pill for it. We don't want a shot for it.
Right.
We don't want some tablet. We want to know what's the cause."
Right.
And the doctor said,
Old
know.
age.
"Old age."
Old age.
Remember?
No,
That's
I
what
don't
the
remember
doctor
that.
As an
said.
actor in
Dr.
Matua.
because of old
Dini
age.
lost her mind. What do you mean old age? He's 42. Old age.
Just have to laugh.
Okay, so we're getting a hint. Prabhupada's using an analogy here that a good physician doesn't just treat the symptoms. Oh, you have a headache? Let me give you an aspirin. No, why are you getting headaches? Maybe you're not drinking enough water. Maybe you're not, let's try to get to the cause of it. So what is the cause of everything that's happening to me in life? It's not, go beyond the surface. Okay.
Yeah, when an expert physician treats a patient, he tries to find the original cause of the disease and is not diverted by the symptoms of the original cause. Similarly, a devotee is never disturbed by reverses in life.
Okay.
Tate nukampam sushamik samana. A devotee understands that when he is in distress, this is due to his own past misdeeds,
You're going back
which are
to the
now
cause. Right?
accruing reactions.
Okay.
Although by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, these are only very slight. I think I talked about this in Q&A day the other day.
Oh,
It's
yeah?
just a better way to frame out what's happening. Even if you don't believe in all this stuff,
Yeah.
what a better way to look at life. Like, you know what? Whatever I did, this is what I got. Now what? Instead of going, why me? This isn't fair. I can't believe this is happening to me. Why is my kid acting like that? Or my parent acting like that? Or my spouse acting like this? How did I get myself into this? You're in it. Now what? It's
Now
such a better way to frame out life. But it's like this deep, radical responsibility for I got what I got, and I probably did something to get myself here.
Right. And there's got to be something beyond me and beyond. There has to be some intelligence that's arranging all this. And I need to know more about that if I'm going to figure all this out.
Yeah. And if I don't want to get this again, what can I do to avoid it?
All right. By the way, I wanted to announce in the beginning, I forgot, but we did a Q&A in Italy.
Yeah.
And we recorded, but the quality of it was so bad. The picture quality, the sound quality, and then it cut
really?
off at the end.
Yeah.
So I didn't post that one. But we're
Are you
going to
gonna
post
not
it.
post it?
Chapo, has it been posted yet? We're going to post it on the
Posted
Sage
on our
Community
Sage
platform.
Community platform.
Is it up there
Ooh,
yet?
the missing episode, you can call it.
Yeah, it's the missing episode. That's right.
Gotta
It was
be
a good
Sage
one.
Group.
Great questions. And so you can see it there. It's just got very bad visual quality and cuts off at the end. The sound is, you'll be able to understand it.
What about my class at the Sunday Feast? You're going to post that?
We will post that on the Sage Community platform as well as my museum tours.
Oh, great.
Go to wisdomofthesages.com to become a
It's
supporting member.
all going up there. Thank you.
It's
Look at
all
Mary.
for supporting-
Okay, let's finish up this commentary, at least part of it. Before we
Wait
end.
there. Wait. A devotee. A devotee.
Understands.
Devotee. When a devotee, under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is to suffer because of the faults of his past deeds, he passes through only a little misery by the grace of the Lord, although the disease of a devotee is due to mistakes committed sometime in the past. He agrees to suffer and tolerate such miseries, and he depends fully on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, he is never affected by material conditions of lamentation, jubilation, fear, and so on.
Oh,
A
it
devotee
transcends
never
that.
sees anything to be unconnected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
There you go.
He's going to quote Madhvacharya here.
Yeah, but he
Oh,
doesn't give a
that's the quote,
translation
yeah.
to it. Yeah, yeah. So there you go. So you try to the vision of the Krishna Bhakta, the Krishna devotee, the Bhakti yogi, is to see both the oneness and the difference. But that oneness is that oneness is really important, right? We're all made of this same spiritual energy. We're all moving through the water of the cycles of birth and death. Recognize I am spirit. Recognize every neighbor that I have and everybody else in here is just like me, experiencing things just like me. Let's try to think not only of my own experiences, but the experience of all these others in connection with the original source that's behind everything and behind everything that we're experiencing.
In the 70s, if you were to eat yogurt, there was like one brand of yogurt, like
Dannon.
Light and Lively yogurt or
Oh,
whatever.
Light and Lively.
And
Light
the
and
the
Lively,
way
yeah.
they made these
It was like a diet
yogurts,
thing, low
a
fat. Yeah.
Dannon thing. It was like a diet food. But whatever it was all homogenized. And then like in the
Right.
early 80s, they started making health food brands. They had health food stores. And there was cream on the top. I think Stonyfield yogurt, there was a cream on the top. And if you ate dairy and you that was like the sweetest part, to get the cream off the top. And most people
yeah.
never even had fresh yogurt before, so they didn't know that. Made with like unpasteurized or homogenized milk.
Homogenized. Yeah. Homogenization is a
milk.
big problem.
So
right?
this It is in many ways too. So this Bhagavatam is the cream. It is the sweetest part of the teachings of all the Vedas. The
You know
Veda,
what?
there's so many Vedic teachings out there. What?
It's not only the cream. It's said that it's the saram saram. It's the cream of the cream.
It's the cream of the cream.
Yeah, creme de
The
la
cream of the
creme.
cream. It's the creme de la creme.
You should say that
Of
and
all
twist your
Vedic
mustache just a
teachings.
little bit.
It's the creme de la creme, monsieur. I can't remember how I was talking about this. What were we just talking about before?
The yogurt, people get it. They didn't
No,
know
before
about
that.
it. So the
Before that
Bhagavatam,
made me talk about the cream of the Bhagavatam.
that we go through this lamentation and jubilation, but if we can see the oneness behind it all, then
That was too far back.
All right, forget it. This one's just going to
Okay,
peter
whatever.
out this episode.
This is the cream of the cream.
Ready
Okay.
for some takeaways?
I'm ready.
All right.
Sorry, I upended
Ready.
your point there. Right?
You know what? I had a good point. The
Creme de
cream
la
of the
creme.
cream, the Bhagavatam.
I was just trying to
But-
add just a little thing to what you were going with, and then hand it right back to you.
It wasn't you. I lost
Right.
track. I lost
Okay.
track.
Well, I feel like I own some of the responsibility on this one, Raghunath. It's
What were we talking about?
okay.
Like what was the end of that purport?
The end of the purport was that a devotee never sees anything to be
Sees anything
unconnected
unconnected.
from Krishna.
Okay.
And there, right?
Oh, this is what I was going to say.
All right, we got it.
This is what I was going to say. The cream of the cream is the teachings of Lord Chaitanya.
Oh, yeah.
Because like if I was just to study the Upanishads, the oneness of God makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, we all have spirituality within us. We're all one with God. It's not like there's some divine being and I'm nothing. I'm actually God. That sort of makes sense.
Oh,
And then, right?
Yeah, go
and
ahead.
I'm just saying these teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and then there's the idea of like God is supreme and I'm like a nobody and everything else is dead around me. But these teachings
Right.
of Lord Chaitanya, that everything is spiritual, everything
yeah.
is connected with me. Everything. We're part of God, but we're not God.
You-
We're
one and
simultaneously
different.
one with God, but we're different than God. That makes so much sense. That's worth the price of admission. This is like the biggest game changer they got. Lord Chaitanya, thank you very much. You've
Thank you,
changed my
Raghunath.
life.
Krishna gave
How
it
can you
back
even
to you.
understand the Veda? That's why this is the cream of the cream of the cream.
Thank you, Raghunath. Krishna
The
gave
creme
it
de la
back to
creme
you.
de la creme.
That
Lord
must be really
Chaitanya's
thick
teachings.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Greek yogurt.
Okay, even thicker.
Thicker than Greek yogurt.
Ready for some takeaways?
Yeah.
Yes.
Break out of the default setting.
A breakout. That
No,
was a good
Raghunath,
song.
please.
Don't do us. And then, who was that? And then you find a break and make it last. Woo-hoo. Anyone know? Okay, first person to get on the message board wins.
Shall I continue?
Mara,
Yes.
you please do.
Understand the world is alive with meaning and connection.
Yep.
Gloria
Yeah.
Stefan? No.
The most obvious and pervasive reality may be the hardest to see.
It's all around us, and we don't even see it.
Mm.
I'm stuck on who wrote that song.
Resist the self-centeredness.
Resist it,
Okay.
Raghunath.
I've already.
Mara really looked at Raghunath when she said that. What was with that, Mara? That was...
You know what? Mara is the
Standing-
nicest woman for 23 hours of the day. She's like Saint Teresa for this 1 hour.
She looked right at you when she read that, Raghunath. There's video evidence of this.
Who's listening?
Swing Out Sisters. Thank you. The Swing Out Sisters.
Pretty good.
Okay.
We're all moving through the water of samsara.
Yeah, drowning in it.
Fan the spark of goodness.
Fan it.
I follow drowning videos too. Not drowning, but people like close to drowning.
Okay.
That is like torture.
Shall I
Okay.
continue?
How we start talking about drowning?
We weren't.
We weren't. Nobody was talking about drowning.
Nobody was talking about drowning.
Okay. Mara.
Material consciousness is always riddled with anxiety.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Comes with
I
it.
do-
Just is.
madness.
Just is.
Yeah. A devotee is never disturbed by life's reversals.
Sometimes they're jubilant,
Mhm.
but they're not disturbed. That's the difference.
Got fame? Big deal.
Big deal.
Kaustubha's caught in a bubble.
I'm
Little
stuck.
bubble.
Help me. Boy in the plastic bubble. Help me. I'm in
Bubble
here all the
boy.
time.
And
Yeah.
That was a thing. Was that
Oh, no,
that a
you're
medical
good.
procedure that everybody did?
you should have brought
At
We
one
connected.
point,
We connected him to
historically,
some
in my
past
life,
television show.
everybody was talking about children in bubbles.
No, Raghunath. There's just one television show, but it
one
filled up your
Seinfeld
world.
episode.
Yeah, one
Well, the Seinfeld
Seinfeld.
episode came from that television
John
show.
Travolta,
Boy in
plastic
plastic bubble.
Yeah.
And Bhagavatam is the creme de la creme.
That's
La
it.
creme.
I could go for a cream donut right now.
It actually says that in
Creme
Bhagavatam. though.
brulee.
Literally, it says
It
the cream
does.
of the cream. Yeah.
It is the cream of the cream, the top of the crop.
Mhm.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Also, there's
Yeah.
another little announcement I wanted to make.
Tell me.
Okay, I announced Italy, announced Lori. There was one
LA.
more announcement.
LA.
Oh, Veda Yoga LA,
It's not posted
Rath
yet,
Yatra.
though.
Not
No.
posted yet on their thing, but Friday night Kaustubha.
Mark the-
First
mark
we're
the date.
doing mark the date. It is August
First.
1st, which is Mary's
Oh, that's Mary's
That's right.
birthday.
birthday.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go to Gracias Madre.
Gracias.
Maybe we can go to a shelter show.
Maybe we go to a shelter show.
Oh, I thought the shelter show
Shelter's
was the day
playing
before.
Shelter's playing with 7 seconds that night. That's why I can't go to your class. Can't go to your class. So Kaustubha's giving a class.
Oh, okay.
But
But we're going to do a podcast before that, all at Veda Yoga. And then the next day at 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I'm giving a class. And then we're doing a podcast before that. And the next day is LA Rath Yatra. Come for the weekend. Have an
Come for the
LA
weekend.
weekend.
Everybody, LA is the place to be that weekend. First weekend in August.
Looking forward to that. We're going to go.
Now, why are they called 7 seconds, Raghunath?
No, I can't remember. But
All these years you never found out?
I did.
Can't remember.
why.
I can't remember. Okay.